The envelope wasn't anything dramatic. No gold foil or family crest. Just thick paper, the kind that costs more than it should, sitting between a hardware store flyer and the usual pension adjustment notice. I picked it up expecting some kind of bank form, maybe something from the county. But when I opened it and saw the embossed lettering, Eliza Whitlow cordially invites you to the opening night of Inheritance at the Willoughby Gallery. I just stood there, holding it like it might burn through my fingers. I didn't even know she was having a show. I'm Dana Whitlow, I'm 52 years old, and I live alone in a rented duplex in Springfield, Missouri. I retired early from the Colfax manufacturing plant, where I supervised the line for almost 20 years. My knees are shot, and I've got arthritis in one hand from lifting conveyor parts. I work part-time now, cleaning floors at the junior college, mostly to keep from going stir-crazy. My daughter, Eliza, moved to Chicago 10 years ago. She used to send me paintings when she was little, crayon scribbles of our old backyard, watercolor blobs I was supposed to pretend looked like flowers. I pinned them to the fridge until the corners curled. I told everyone at church she was going to be something one day. She hasn't come home in nearly 2 years. I stared at the envelope for a long time. It didn't say Mom or Mother, just Miss Dana Whitlow. No note inside, just the formal invite, with a little gold RSVP card and a dress code printed at the bottom. Cocktail or gallery formal, no denim. The whole thing felt like it wasn't even for me. Like I'd been added to a list out of obligation. Like someone had leaned over and said, "You should probably include your mother." I sat down at the kitchen table, my hand still gripping the envelope. My teacup had gone cold. The refrigerator buzzed behind me. I felt this tight little knot in my chest, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I called her. She picked up on the third ring. "Hi, Mom," she said. Her voice clipped, professional, the same tone she uses when she's ordering coffee or answering calls at work. "Hi, sweetheart," I said, forcing a smile into my voice. "I just got something in the mail." "Oh?" She sounded distracted. I could hear clinking glasses in the background. "It's beautiful. Real fancy paper. I didn't even know you were having a show." There was a pause. "Oh," she said again. "Yeah, it came together kind of fast." I swallowed. "It's at the Willoughby? That's a big deal, isn't it?" "Mm-hmm. Well, I just wanted to say congratulations." I kept my voice light. "I'm real proud of you." "Thanks." I waited. Nothing. "So," I said, laughing a little, "are you excited? Nervous? Need help with anything?" "It's all being handled," she said. "The gallery has a coordinator." "Right, of course." I felt foolish for asking. "I'll be tied up that whole weekend," she added, "so I probably won't have time to chat when you get in." "Oh," I said, "and there's a lot of press and collectors coming, so I won't really be able to, well, just mingle." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Sure. "But I'm glad you can come," she added quickly. "Just make sure you don't wear anything too matronly, okay?" My mouth went dry. "Too what?" "Never mind," she said. "I've got to go, but I'll see you there." And just like that, she hung up. I sat there for a long time after the call ended, holding the invitation like it might explain something if I stared at it long enough. I looked down at my old sweatshirt, the paint stains near the hem, the little rip in the sleeve. I'd worn it while helping her move into her first apartment, carrying boxes up 3 flights of stairs while she laughed and told me to be careful with the plants. I used to be her whole world. Now I'm just another name on a card. But if she thinks I'll show up looking small, looking out of place, she's got another thing coming. I may not fit the vibe, but I'll walk in there with my head high, even if no one sees me. I called her again the next evening, mostly because I couldn't sleep the night before. I kept waking up thinking about that envelope, about the way she said too matronly, like I was some relic from a town she'd already erased. When she picked up, her voice was tight. "Hey, Mom, everything okay?" I told myself to sound upbeat. "Hi, sweetheart. Just wanted to say thank you again for the invitation. I've been thinking about the show nonstop." There was a pause. "Oh, yeah, of course." I pressed on. "Listen, I was wondering, do you need help with anything before the opening? I'm good at setup, I used to coordinate all the safety displays at the plant." "I think we're good," she said quickly. I could help with refreshments or chairs or even just check people in at the door. "No, Mom." Her voice had an edge now. "It's being managed professionally." I blinked at the phone. "Right, I just thought maybe—" "Everything's already taken care of," she cut in. "There's a hired team. It's just not that kind of show." I leaned back in my kitchen chair, staring at the chipped tile floor. Okay, I said, softer this time. There was silence. I tried again. Would it be all right if I came by early that day, just to get a quick look before the crowd shows up? I really don't think I'll have time. I have press walkthroughs all afternoon, and a brunch with one of the patrons, and then prep with my agent. Of course, I said, the words falling out dry. You'll be very busy. She didn't say anything, just breathed into the phone. I tried to laugh. Guess I'll just see it with everyone else then. I mean, yeah, she replied, like it was obvious. It was like I was a stranger, asking for favors instead of a mother who once stayed up all night with her during chicken pox, who used to drive across town just to bring her a forgotten sketch pad. And yet here I was, practically begging to be let in. I shifted in my seat. Well, I was looking at dresses today. Oh! They had a few at that consignment place on Walnut. Pretty colors, but most of them were, well, not really me. Just wear something clean and understated, she said flatly. It's more about the art than the guess. That stung in a way I didn't expect. Of course, she was already half gone. I should get back to work, but I'll see you there, okay? Right. And don't worry too much about what you wear. Just not anything too, too matronly. There it was again, that word. As if my presence was a risk she was trying to manage. I'll see you there, I said, and hung up before she could. I sat at the table for a long time after that. The envelope was still sitting in the same place, its gold lettering catching the light from the overhead bulb. I thought about throwing it away. I thought about not going at all. But then something settled in my chest. Fine, I thought. If I'm going to be treated like an outsider, then I'll walk in with my back straight and my head high. Let them whisper about me. Let them wonder who I am. I'll smile, take my glass of champagne, and stand right there in the middle of her shiny new world. Let her try to hide me then. After that call, something shifted. I stopped waiting to be included. I stopped wondering if she'd call again with a real invitation. The kind where you get to help string the lights or taste test the hors d'oeuvres. That ship had sailed. Instead, I focused on one thing. Showing up with dignity. No apologies. No hunched shoulders. If I was going to be treated like background noise, I'd at least be the kind that demanded attention. I started small. I picked up an extra weekend shift at the junior college, scrubbing baseboards and emptying out the art department's recycling bins. Every little bit counted. I stopped riding the tram and started walking the 3 miles to work, even in the drizzle. It gave me time to think, or not think, which was maybe better. At the grocery store, I skipped the name brands. I stocked up on rice, canned beans, and frozen spinach. I got used to plain meals and quiet evenings. I turned the thermostat down and pulled on an extra sweater instead. Not because I couldn't afford better, but because I was saving for something more important. Every week, I tucked $40 into an envelope marked Chicago. It wasn't just for travel, it was for pride. For every time someone told me I didn't belong. I scoured secondhand shops until I found a boutique I'd never heard of before, tucked between a flower shop and a law office. It didn't even have a sign, just a soft chime when I walked in and a faint smell of lavender. A young woman with cropped hair and silver hoops greeted me. Looking for anything special? I hesitated. My daughter's having an art show. I need something that says I belong there. She smiled, not politely, genuinely. We can do that. I tried on 3 pantsuits before we found the right one. Slate gray, not flashy but fitted in a way that made my shoulders look strong. I looked in the mirror and almost didn't recognize myself. I feel like I should be giving a speech or running for mayor, I joked. You look like you own the gallery, she said, smiling as she folded the cuffs. And we're not done yet. She helped me pick out silver earrings. Just a small drop design. Understated, but commanding, she said. I let her guide me. Normally, I wouldn't spend money like this. But it wasn't about the price. It was about walking into that gallery and not feeling like a forgotten mother from a small town. The day of the hair appointment, I almost didn't go. I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror. My roots were more gray than brown now. My last real haircut had been a trim with kitchen scissors and a hand mirror. But I walked in anyway. The stylist didn't ask for backstory. She just asked what I wanted to feel like when I left. I told her, like someone who deserves to be seen. She nodded. We can do that. 2 hours later, I looked like a woman who had never cleaned a university bathroom in her life. My hair was a soft chestnut brown, cut just above the shoulders. shaped in a way that made my jaw look stronger. I barely recognized myself, and yet I did. She'd been in there all along. That night, I stood in front of the mirror in my tiny hallway. Full outfit, hair done, earrings catching the light. I didn't look wealthy, I didn't look young, but I looked sharp, self-possessed. I didn't think about the envelope anymore. I didn't think about Eliza's tone on the phone. I just looked at the woman in the mirror, standing tall, polished, quiet but firm. Not just a mother, not just a guest. A woman who had earned her place. And I would walk into that gallery with my head high, whether anyone welcomed me or not. The gallery was downtown, one of those converted warehouse buildings with tall windows and polished concrete floors. I'd never been in a place like it before. From the sidewalk, it looked like a boutique hotel lobby. Warm light poured out onto the street, and through the glass I could see clusters of people holding champagne flutes and laughing like they were all in on the same joke. I took a deep breath before walking in. My new shoes pinched a little, but I didn't let it show. The pantsuit held its shape beautifully. I'd pinned the invitation to the inside of my clutch, just in case they tried to say I wasn't on the list. Inside, the air was scented with perfume and catered finger food. A woman at a welcome table glanced up and smiled in that distracted way people do when they have already decided you're not important. "Name?" she asked, fingers poised over a tablet. "Dana Whitlow," she typed, then blinked. "Ah, yes, right this way." She handed me a plain white name tag and a little map of the exhibit. Friends and family are directed to the community room toward the back. I looked down at the tag. It just said Dana Whitlow in block letters. No special ribbon. No mother of the artist. Just the same kind of sticker they probably gave the janitor. I smiled and stuck it on anyway. The gallery was buzzing. Tall walls with massive canvases. Abstract shapes in bold colors. Dark lines cutting through soft pastels. People stood around them, sipping from thin glasses and murmuring phrases like movement and narrative tension. And there she was. Eliza stood at the center of the room, surrounded by a small circle of well-dressed people. She looked beautiful. Her hair swept up, wearing a cream-colored jumpsuit that looked expensive and effortless at the same time. She laughed at something the man beside her said, touching his arm lightly. I walked up slowly, like someone approaching a podium, rehearsing what I'd say. "You did it, honey. I'm proud of you." When she noticed me, there was a flicker of recognition, then something colder. She stepped toward me just slightly. "You look good," she said, like it surprised her, like I wasn't supposed to. "Thank you," I replied. The man beside her turned, tall, thin, rimless glasses. He looked at me with a kind of detached curiosity. "You're the mother?" he asked, like he couldn't quite match the math. "That's right." "Interesting," he said, already looking past me. "Eliza," I said quietly, "you've done something really special here." She smiled quickly, almost automatically. "Thank you. It's been a lot of work. I'd love to talk later, maybe walk through some of it with you, just the two of us." Her eyes darted back to her agent, then to the crowd. "I'll be pulled in a lot of directions tonight," she said. "Why don't you check out the back room? There's a refreshment area and a slideshow." "I'd rather be out here," I said, "with you." She gave a strained smile. "Mom, this isn't... It's not like a high school open house, okay? This is a professional showing." She said it gently, like I should understand, like I was a little girl who had wandered into a board meeting. "I see." She leaned in quickly and kissed the air near my cheek. "Go enjoy yourself, okay?" Then she turned back to her circle. Just like that. I stood there for a moment, in the middle of a crowd that moved around me like I wasn't even there. Eventually, I made my way to the back. The community room had folding chairs and paper napkins, the kind of snacks you buy in bulk. Crackers, cubed cheese, grapes on toothpicks. A young woman in a gallery t-shirt offered me a plastic cup of white wine. "Thanks," I said. My name tag caught on the rim of my coat, peeling up at one corner. I sat down near a display board with photos of Eliza through the years. Baby pictures, art school snapshots, candid shots of her with friends. None of me, not one. You wouldn't even know she had a mother if you didn't already. I looked down at the cup in my hands. The wine was warm. In the main room, someone started clapping. Through the doorway, I saw Eliza standing by a microphone, grinning as she spoke to the crowd. She was radiant. And I was at the edge of it all, invited, yes, but gently placed where no one important would notice me. I sipped my wine and straightened my jacket. Let them hide me in the back. I came anyway. After the exhibit, they moved us all into the adjoining lounge for the reception dinner. It was dimly lit, all exposed brick and hanging bulbs, trying hard to look effortless. I followed the crowd in, clutching the little program they handed out at the door like it was a boarding pass. A hostess greeted everyone with the same sing-song line. Please find your assigned table. Seating is organized by name card. I drifted through the room, scanning every table. The front of the room had round tables with white linens and fresh floral centerpieces. Real flowers, not silk. Wine bottles pre-uncorked. Plates already waiting with warm bread rolls nestled in napkins. A string quartet played something delicate in the corner. Then I found my name card, back near the catering exit. It was on a table with folding chairs, no centerpiece, no bread. Just a small bowl of mixed nuts someone had already picked through. I sat down and looked around. The others at my table were a woman from Eliza's art school who kept checking her watch, an older man who introduced himself as just a neighbor from the old building, and funnily enough, the janitor from the art college, whom I recognized from one of my own shifts. He gave me a kind smile and a nod, then went back to sipping his Coke. I looked down at my name card again. Just Dana Whitlow, plain font, no title, no note. The napkin at my place was paper, not cloth. At the next table over, I saw Eliza's agent laughing with two men in tailored suits. One of them held a whiskey glass with a twist of orange peel in it, swirling it like he owned the room. Across from them, a woman with an expensive-looking clutch was flipping through Eliza's program and nodding as if she already knew everything about the pieces. Our food arrived late. The appetizers were lukewarm and bland, tiny toast with soggy cheese, and what I think was supposed to be fig jam. The wine didn't come with the meal. In fact, no one came by to offer it at all. I watched as the waitstaff swept right past our table to refill glasses at the front. At some point, the room dimmed, and a spotlight came on over the stage. Eliza stepped up, looking poised and professional. She gave a lovely speech. She thanked the gallery, her mentor, her agent. She gave a long, glowing tribute to a former professor who had changed her life. She thanked her patrons, the foundation that sponsored the exhibit, and her friends who had believed in her from day one. Her voice trembled once, for effect. The room murmured in appreciation. She never said my name. I sat perfectly still, my hands folded in my lap. My silver earrings caught the light every time I moved, and I imagined, just for a moment, that someone might look over and wonder who I was. But no one did. After the applause died down, soft jazz played again. Conversations resumed, and behind me, by the restroom hallway, I heard it. A laugh, my daughter's laugh. I turned slightly, just enough to catch a glimpse. Eliza stood beside a table with three of her college friends and her mentor. She was mid-story, waving one hand in the air. My mom, she said? Oh, she's used to budget snacks. She probably thinks the stale crackers are gourmet. They all laughed. She didn't know I was close enough to hear. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I just let the sound wash over me, that familiar laugh, her favorite punchline. Me. It wasn't even cruel, really. It was just easy for her, thoughtless, like brushing lint off a sleeve. I took a small bite of the soggy toast, not because I was hungry, but because I needed to do something with my hands. The janitor beside me tapped his fork gently on the plate and said, "This food ain't great, huh?" I smiled, not exactly 5-star. He chuckled. "Still, I guess we're here, right?" I nodded. "Yeah, I guess we are." But the truth sat heavy in my chest. I had saved every dollar, bought the earrings, the pantsuit, the train ticket. I had walked into that gallery like I belonged. But they still found a way to push me to the corner. Not with cruelty, not with shouting, but with name tags, with seating charts, with silence, and with that laugh. The one that said, "You're not really part of this." I sat through the rest of the dinner. I didn't cry. Not then. The lights dimmed further after dinner, and the jazz trio shifted to something softer, something meant to encourage mingling and slow dancing. A few guests wandered to the small open space in front of the gallery's large windows, where the string lights reflected off the glass like stars caught between walls. Someone dimmed the stage lights, and the chatter settled into a gentler hum. I stayed seated, folding the linen napkin I'd found abandoned on an empty table. It was the first decent one I could find. A small thing, but it helped me feel less like a guest by accident. Eliza floated through the room like a hostess at a country club, confident, glowing. She danced briefly with the gallery director, then her mentor, an older woman with silver-streaked hair and a tailored pantsuit. They swayed in a gentle rhythm, smiling like people who had never waited for permission to feel important. Then Eliza walked over to a slim woman with striking red heels. I didn't recognize her, but when Eliza reached out her hand, the woman stood and took it gracefully. They moved together through the music, laughing, heads close. I saw her mouth the words, "This is all so perfect." I watched from across the room, the hem of my slacks brushing my ankle as I sat with one leg crossed, waiting for something, anything, a glance, a wave, an acknowledgement that I was still part of her orbit. Instead, I saw her dance with Sharon, her father's widow. They weren't close. I'd always gotten the sense that Eliza only kept in touch out of obligation. But there they were, arms linked, swaying as if they'd shared something deep and enduring. Eliza whispered something, and Sharon laughed, tucking a stray curl behind Eliza's ear like a mother might. I hadn't touched her hair like that since college. My hand tightened around the little program they'd handed out earlier, the one with Eliza's artist statement printed in a delicate font. This work is about legacy, about the way we inherit more than just names. We inherit silence, grief, and a need to be seen. I almost laughed. Inherit silence. She had no idea. Eliza passed by me once on her way toward the bar. Her eyes skimmed the room and passed right over mine. Not a flicker of recognition. Not even a nod. I sat perfectly still. Someone from my table asked, "Are you going to get up and dance?" I shook my head politely. "I'll just watch a bit." It wasn't even disappointment anymore. It was something quieter, a kind of hollow acceptance. I turned slightly in my seat and caught sight of my reflection in the gallery wall. A long pane of polished glass, tinted by the lights. The woman in the reflection looked elegant, calm. The slate-gray pantsuit smoothed her lines. Her earrings caught the gold from the chandelier. Her hair was shaped and neat. And yet she was invisible. I stood. I didn't make a scene. I didn't wave goodbye or look for Eliza. I adjusted my jacket, picked up my small clutch, and made my way across the room. No one noticed. No one stopped me. I walked past the man with rimless glasses, past the servers gathering empty glasses, past a woman complimenting the catering. The door let out a quiet hiss of air as I pushed it open. Outside, the city was cool and buzzing. I stepped out onto the sidewalk and let the door shut behind me. It gave a dull, final thud. I didn't look back. For the first time that evening, I didn't wait to be seen. I chose to leave. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even undress. Just sat on the edge of the hotel bed, still in my carefully chosen pantsuit, staring at the city lights outside the window. They blinked and shimmered like they had somewhere better to be, somewhere important to go. Around 4 a.m, I got up, turned on the desk lamp, and pulled out the hotel notepad. But that wasn't going to be enough. I opened my purse and took out the stationery I kept in a zippered pocket, the thick off-white pages I used when something truly mattered. I wrote it all in one sitting, no drafts, no second guessing. Just pen to paper, steady hand, heart wide open. Eliza, I hope your show went the way you dreamed. I mean that, truly. I wanted to write this before I changed my mind. Because if I say it out loud, you'll deflect. You'll talk in circles and call it miscommunication. Or say you were just trying to keep things professional. And I don't want to debate. I want you to understand. That show, that night, you edited me out. You cut me from the picture so neatly, I doubt most people there even knew I existed. And yet, I stood in the back. I sat near the catering trays. I listened as you thanked every mentor and donor and friend. I waited for my name, even once. It never came. I could talk about how much I gave over the years, how many rides I gave, how many meals I skipped so you could have art supplies. But you know all that. What you don't know, what maybe you never realized, is that for the last 6 years, those $600 monthly transfers you assumed came from your father's insurance account, they didn't. They came from me. I took on extra cleaning shifts. I stopped getting new winter boots. I fixed the dishwasher myself with parts from a salvage yard. I gave quietly, because that's what mothers do. But something happened the night of your show. Sitting at that table near the exit while you laughed about me within earshot, it split something inside me open. I realized I'd been showing up for someone who no longer saw me. So I'm making a change. I'm selling the house. The one you assumed you'd inherit one day. The one I kept in good repair for your visits that stopped coming. The one you haven't called home in over a decade. I'm not doing it to hurt you. I'm doing it to finally live in it for the first time. Not as a placeholder, not as your backup plan. It's mine. It always was. I wish you success. I truly do. I hope people see your talent and invest in it. But I won't be funding your life from the shadows anymore. If you ever choose to see me again, not as someone to hide, but as someone who matters, you'll know where to find me. Until then, be well. Mom. I folded the letter carefully, placed it in an envelope, and addressed it in my neatest handwriting. I didn't wait to mail it. I found a blue drop box down the street and slid it in at dawn. The metal door closed with a clean, final click. 3 days passed. Then came the text. Eliza, what the hell is this? An hour later, an email. Subject, unbelievable. It was long and indignant. She accused me of emotional blackmail, said she'd never asked for money, and that I was choosing drama over family. She called the house sale spiteful. She said, "You've always wanted to punish me for becoming more than Springfield." I didn't reply. I opened the email. I read every word. Then I deleted it and emptied the trash folder. I picked up the phone, not to call Eliza, but to call the realtor. Her name was Ruth. She answered on the second ring. "I'm ready," I said. And I meant it. The house sold faster than I expected. The market was good and Ruth knew how to talk to people. A young couple bought it. First home, 2 dogs, plans for a vegetable garden. I liked them right away. I packed slowly. Room by room, I kept the essentials and donated the rest. Eliza's old things? I boxed them up and brought them to a secondhand shop 2 towns over. I didn't want to risk her running into her own past by accident. On my last night there, I stood in the doorway of what used to be her bedroom. The walls still had faint marks from where she'd taped her paintings up. The carpet had a tiny paint stain near the window, a deep rust-colored smear from a spilled jar of gouache. I didn't cry, not out of pride or strength. I just didn't feel the need to anymore. By the following week, I had signed a lease for a small flat in northern Michigan. It was quiet, tucked near a lake, with a little wraparound balcony and a view of the water if you craned your neck just right. The sun rose over the trees in the morning, casting warm strips of light across the laminate floor. I didn't buy much furniture, just a reading chair, a bed, and a small table I found at a thrift store. The woman behind the counter gave me a discount for no reason other than kindness. I hadn't realized how good it felt to be treated like I mattered, even by a stranger. I picked up part-time work at a ceramics studio, just a few hours a week, helping with kiln loads, cleaning up glazed trays, chatting with the local artists who dropped by to fire their pieces. One of them, a retired biology teacher named Sylvia, showed me how to center clay on the wheel. My first bowl collapsed, and we both laughed so hard I nearly cried. The days were slow, quiet, nourishing. I started walking every morning, just a small loop around the lake trail. The air smelled like pine and wet earth. I brought a thermos of tea sometimes and sat on the bench near the dock, watching the ducks squabble over nothing. At night, I read. Sometimes I read through old letters I had kept in a shoebox, cards from friends, a note from Eliza when she was in middle school that said, "You're the best mom in the world. Please don't pack me tuna again." I didn't feel bitter anymore. I felt free. The silence didn't ache the way it used to. I no longer waited for her name to pop up on my phone. I didn't hover by the mailbox or check my email every morning with a sinking kind of hope. It wasn't that I didn't love her. It was that I finally loved myself enough to stop chasing someone who only looked back when they needed something. The new apartment had no fridge magnets, no old art pinned to the walls. But it had peace. It had choice. And when I cleared the dinner dishes, just 1 plate, 1 fork, I did it not because I had to, but because I wanted to. In that quiet space, under the soft hum of the ceiling fan, I finally became more than someone's utility. I became mine. It was early October when she came, one of those gray afternoons where the sky feels close and heavy, like it's holding something in. I had just come back from the studio, my hands still faintly dusted with clay, when I saw a figure standing at the bottom of the stairs to my flat. Eliza. She was thinner than I remembered, wrapped in a coat that looked too expensive for the weather. Her hair was pulled back, not in that confident updo from the gallery, but in a low knot, like she'd done it in a hurry. She looked up when I came into view, and I swear, for the first time in years, she looked young again. Like the girl who used to lie on the floor with a sketch pad and beg me to stay up 10 more minutes. I stopped halfway up the stairs. "Hi," she said, voice small. "Hi," I replied, steady but not cold. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. I tried calling, but your number didn't work." "I changed it," I said simply. She nodded. "Can I come up?" I hesitated just long enough for her to notice. Then I stepped aside. "If you want to talk, we can do it here." She followed me up to the porch, and I opened the door to let her into my little flat. I didn't offer tea. I didn't ask if she was hungry. I sat down in my chair by the window and motioned for her to take the one across from me. She looked around. "It's quiet here." "That's the idea." She looked down at her hands. No polish on her nails, no rings. Her coat, though stylish, had fraying threads at the cuff. "I read your letter," she said. "I figured." "I was angry," she added quickly. "At first, I thought you were trying to hurt me." "I wasn't." "I know that now." She looked up, her eyes red around the edges. "I messed up, Mom." I didn't say anything. I didn't mean to erase you. I was just caught up. With the show, with the press. People expected things from me, and I didn't want to look. She stopped, struggling for the word. "Ordinary." "You mean me," I said. Her face crumpled. "I was awful to you, I know that. And I've been thinking about everything. The money, the way I kept you at a distance. I was so focused on becoming someone that I forgot who made it possible for me to become anything at all." I let her speak. I didn't soften. I didn't rush to comfort her. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said. I wanted to say it, out loud. "Thank you," I said, my voice calm. "I hear you." She swallowed. "Can we fix this? Start over?" I looked at her then, not the woman who curated me out of her life, not the artist on a stage, but my daughter, fragile in ways she couldn't even admit. "Love without respect," I said quietly, "isn't love. It's convenience." She looked stunned, then ashamed. "I do love you," she whispered. "I know. But I also know what it felt like to sit in a room full of people who didn't even know I raised you." She blinked hard, biting the inside of her cheek like she was trying to hold something in. "I spent a lot of years waiting for you to see me," I said. "But I'm not waiting anymore." She looked around the room again. Her eyes landed on the bookshelf, the little plant in the corner, the clay mug drying by the sink. "This place feels like you," she said. "It is me," I replied. "Not the version you edited out, the real one." Silence stretched between us. "I wish I'd come sooner," she said. "I know." She stood slowly, shoulders hunched, unsure of what to do next. "Do you want me to come back sometime?" I stood too, not with anger, but with clarity. That choice had to be made before I walked away. She nodded. "Okay." I walked her to the door. She paused in the doorway, one hand on the frame, still looking for some opening, some promise. I didn't give her one. "Be well," I said. She lingered a second longer, then turned and walked down the steps. The sound of her boots on the gravel faded until there was only the wind rustling through the trees. I closed the door gently behind her and went back to my glazing station. It was a Thursday evening, a little after 7, when everyone arrived. I'd made stew, nothing fancy, just something warm with carrots, potatoes, and a splash of red wine I'd been saving. Sylvia brought fresh rolls wrapped in a towel. Ben, one of the artists who rented kiln space, showed up with a bottle of cheap Merlot and a lemon tart from the grocery store bakery. And Marta, the retired school teacher who lived in the flat below mine, came in holding a jar of homemade plum jam like it was treasure. My table only seated 4, so I borrowed a folding one from the neighbor across the hall. It didn't match, but no one cared. We squeezed in with mismatched chairs and passed dishes hand to hand, laughing when Ben knocked over the pepper shaker and blamed the wine. It wasn't loud, it wasn't curated, it was just right. The conversation drifted from pottery disasters to worst bosses to favorite childhood snacks. At some point, Marta asked if I missed the city. I smiled, not even a little. Sylvia raised her wine glass. "To fresh starts," she said. "To knowing your own worth," Ben added. "To not waiting on anyone else's permission," Marta chimed in. I raised my own glass last. "To choosing your seat and keeping it." The clink of glasses felt more like a promise than a toast. After dinner, we cleared the table together. No fuss, no protest. Ben insisted on washing the dishes, but I told him he could dry instead. Sylvia packed up the leftover rolls, and Marta tucked her jam into my fridge with a label that read, "Eat with toast, not guilt." When everyone left, I stood at the kitchen counter for a moment, letting the silence settle. On the mantel above the bookshelf sat a small clay sculpture, cracked slightly on the bottom, shaped like a bird, its beak lopsided. Eliza had made it when she was 9. She brought it home wrapped in newspaper and beaming. I kept it, not out of sentiment, not out of hope, but as a reminder. I gave so much. And now I had taken something back. I moved through the apartment slowly, collecting the used wine glasses, the rumpled napkins. I didn't mind the mess. I wasn't cleaning up after anyone. I was simply caring for the space I had built. I washed each glass by hand, not because I had to, because I wanted to.